Hello everybody and welcome back for round 2 of day 2 of the Limitless Invitational Qualifier. We have two titans of the game playing right now. We have Bert Wolters against Pedro Torres. And this is going to be quite an exciting matchup. What do you think you will see in this matchup from the Monozashan piloted by Bert, Philip?
Yeah, actually, this is something close to a mirror match, but it's not really a mirror match. So they play the same archetype, but completely different lists. They both play like straight Zacian lists with a lot of different tags and toolboxes. Bert's playing a more aggressive style with Shrine of Punishment. Pedro's playing, yeah, kind of a different approach. He has like Persian in there, he has Galarian Berserker, so he has super scoop ups as well, so he has a bit more heal. So this is gonna be pretty interesting. I really wonder how this turns up because both players are pretty bulky with their metal frying pans and their Lucario Metal GX. Pedro has some heal, Bert has some offensive options, so yeah, I think it's gonna come down to who draws better, who plays better, and yeah, I'm very curious to see how this new approach to Zacian turns out, especially in something that's a mirror match.
Indeed. And of course, as you said, they have quite different deck lists. Pedro, for example, plays also that Duskmane Necrozma to have that snipe possibility, which I really like. And at the same time, these are two very good players, and obviously luck will have an important role in this one. We see Pedro going first, going for that quick ball, just looking through his deck, taking his time, understanding what his plays will be. Both players started with a Zacian already, and a Jirachi now also from Pedro. So, I think they already have a decent start, both of them.
Yep, finding a metal frying pan sometime soon would probably be good for either player, just to make sure that Zacian can't get knocked out in one shot that easily. So Pedro's ready to prevent that. He also got his Ditto down, which is great because
that's massive. That's massive.
Yeah, it means that he gets access to whichever of his stage 1s he wants to use. I guess for this matchup, his stage 1 of choice is probably the Persian, just to like...
Yeah, actually the Berserker allows you to one-shot the opponent's Zacian, because he goes to choose 50 HP, and with the Brave Blade you're able to one-shot it. Yep. So it could be interesting. Maybe he will decide on the moment whether he wants to go for the Persian or the Berserker. For example, if
I would say it depends on what path Bert takes in this game, because if he uses full Metal Wall and has his Metal Frying Pans available, then Berserker doesn't do too much. Of course, extra damage is always extra damage, can especially be important against such a tanky deck like Zacian Lucario. But the Persian on the other side might be really handy in this early game situations, where both players use a lot of Interpret Sword, and then you can use it to discard quite a lot of valuable resources from your opponent.
We see a Marnie right now from Bert that actually gave him a pretty undecent hand. He had a double catcher and in the previous hand, so he didn't want to discard it with the Professor research that he had. So I think now he went for this Marnie also to disrupt Pedro's hand. Pedro already has a Zacian with 2 energies and Metal Frying Pan as well as Bert does. But yeah, he removed some resources also from his hand, interestingly.
Yep.
So we see him keep going. Pedro right now, probably, if he's able to catch up one of those Zacian, maybe evolve into the Galarian Berserker, that would be a very hard boost on his game plan.
Yeah, Galarian Berserker and a knockout would certainly be nice to get. He could also get maybe a Lucario and Galarian Berserker to take a knockout on the Jirachi here. Then he would be ready to tank a hit from a Zacian and could use his full Metal Wall to full effect after getting hit. So that might be interesting.
Indeed. And at the same time, Pedro now just had to bench that Dene. His end was pretty bad. But here we go. That's the Galarian Berserker that we were talking about. Plus 20 damage to all metal from all of your metal Pokemons. And he had to bench the Dene. So that would mean if Bert is able to use the Great Catcher, for example, that would already bring him ahead in the lead. It's interesting. He had somewhat to accelerate. He needs the energy this turn, and right now, if he has a supporter, he can still play it. But but Pedro really needs to do something this turn because Bert is already looking pretty scary.
Yeah, also kind of unfortunate there that Pedro had to attach his use his metal saucer for Jirachi, had to attach his metal frying pan to the Galarian Berserker, both not things he wants to do.
And that's
Yeah.
really scary right now. The catcher hit, and now the Galarian Berserker is gonna go down. That means that Bert can live happily from now on. He doesn't need to be scared of that Brave Blade one-shot. Really massive.
Yep, so Bert's getting quite ahead here. Already.
So getting a Metal Saucer, setting up also his bench. That's excellent.
Yeah, so a great start from Bert. Getting to go really fast. Bert generally plays a more aggressive approach. He has one more energy, he does play Forceation, he has a higher Jirachi count. So yeah, and this is what he's doing. He also plays more gusting effects, so he's definitely more focused on going fast and hitting hard.
Indeed. One big difference is that Pedro does not play any Lysandre Labs, while Bert does. He plays one copy of it. But Pedro does play those super scoop ups. So if Bert is not able to one-shot the Zacian from Pedro's side, we might see a super scoop up, and that's a really big tempo swing. So he needs to be very mindful of that.
Yep, and here we see a quick ball, and yeah, this is probably a good time to go for Lucario and Metal, and yeah, where we see it.
It would be even more excellent if he's able to attach the extra energy, discarding all this energy from this Zacian, setting him once again, try to slow down Bert with an excellent start overall. There's a Marnie, so still no energy or Metal Saucer.
So not too great, already having used his Jirachi as well.
There's a Friend Ball, that's a card.
Yeah, Friend Ball is actually an amazing card in this deck because almost every deck plays Jirachi and almost all of Pedro's Pokemon are metal Pokemon, so he can even search his Galarian Berserker with it. And then the other Pokemon that he have are Lightning, so the Dene, which is also almost always
also
on the board.
exists. Yeah, that's massive, really.
And then there's like the Oranguru Ditto Prism Star Persian package, which is colorless, which is also most of the time on the board in form of an Oranguru, and is especially important against mill decks, which always have colorless on the board.
And of course, Philip, you need to take your credits, because if I'm correct, this is your deck, the one that Pedro is playing.
Yeah, Pedro was like, oh, I don't want to play something boring, give me a cool deck, and I was like, I got you covered.
So you see also casters still having influences onto the game. And we see here Bert actually is setting up the second Zacian. He will be able to attack this turn by using that switch. And he has also the option to draw with the Dene. Do you think he needs to draw in this situation?
Yeah, I guess after this knockout he wouldn't have anything going for him anymore, so he probably wants to prepare for, just prepare for something like a Mercario hitting him soon.
Indeed.
Yeah, now Bert going up 2 prizes already, while having 2 Zacian V powered up.
With the pen and everything, yeah. Now Pedro needs to climb this humongous mountain that is these Zacians, trying to knock them out. See, Pedro, he still has that Lucario Metal that up until now has just been taking shrine damage. He needs to put it to use at some point. He obviously wants to go probably for the full effect. That's why I didn't want to attack the last turn. But even just the minus 30 is really massive.
But he didn't even get an energy last turn, so...
Yes, that's true. There's a Primal Wisdom. He has a Metal Saucer, we know that for sure. See if he wants to attack with this Zacian, but obviously it's not great to just deal 200 damage, not knocking out this Zacian. A pretty sucky hit.
Yeah, full metal wall is definitely what Pedro wants to go for if he can get it, but doesn't look like he has much.
Indeed, indeed. He's still thinking. We know he has the Lucario metal in the bench. We know he has the metal saucer. But he probably needs the other energy if he wants to try to have a tempo swing. This station, of course, just attack, so we'll probably need to retreat. But obviously, discarding free energy from your opponent's Pokemons is really massive.
Yep. Now Pedro still thinking
Pedro's
what he can
still
do.
thinking. There's a Duskman Necrozma. I was mentioning before, opens up the sniping possibility, but it works only on GX Pokemons. So that Dedenne will be hit in the bench.
It's
But not the
probably
best time.
probably just something that Pedro wants to throw up. The damage on the Dedenne wouldn't really matter. Yeah, so he's just setting him up to sacrifice, and has to go for another Interpret Sword. Certainly not what you want to see when you're already falling behind quite significantly.
Indeed, indeed. Just this Duskmane Cannon Fodder. I expected it to attack, but it makes much more sense to just leave it there. Put the opponent on free prizes. Bert will go to free, and then he just needs to knock out this Lucario Metal. And since Pedro plays these super scoop ups, he knows that for Bert it's really hard to one-shot this massive Lucario Metal once it GX'd with the Metal Pen. So he's just probably thinking about super scooping up this Lucario Metal and keep the game going.
Yeah, he probably wants to go for full Metal Wall and then scoop it up as soon as it gets a hit. But yeah, it's getting dangerously low on HP. I mean, it has 40 damage, I believe, so after a full Metal Wall, it would still be at very healthy HP.
Indeed, especially considering the Lysander Labs in Bert's deck. It would be able to just throw down and remove basically 30 HP from this Lucario Metal. So we see another Marnie, and wow, this Marnie have been really horrible for both players. Bert just decides to go for the setup option, does not discard the energies. He's very mindful about that full metal wall GX attack that will discard his energies. So he just decides, okay, I'm just gonna chill for one turn, and we see where this leads us.
Yep, Pedro's still in the same position as last turn, basically. Just wanting to power up with Lucario, get his full Metal Wall going, and put himself into a position where he can, on the one hand, soften up Bert's Zacians with that Lucario, and on the other hand, prepare, have it active and be ready to scoop it up once it gets hit.
Oh, there's a super scoop up. Where do you think this super scoop up is going? It's going on the Lucario Metal, actually. It wants to remove those 40 damage. He understands that it could be crucial.
Yep, going for Primed Wisdom as well. Great card to prepare if your opponent for your opponent Marnie, so you can just put a supporter on top and make sure that you don't get screwed by that. And now Pedro's putting on some pressure with that Dawnwings Necrozma. This way he can just leave Bert's Shrine in place to eventually get it knocked out by Shrine of Punishment.
Indeed. This Duskman Necrozma is able to snipe the Dene in the bench, and this might open some options for Pedro. And we see here the skills of the player coming up. How important is resource management, not the attack, also the attack, but most importantly throughout the game. And being able to never give up, don't feel overwhelmed, and obviously see what are your options, because that Dedenne is a 2-prizer after all, and since stations are 2 prizes as well, probably Pedro wants to try to bring the game on the longer side and eventually catch up to Bert.
Yep, now Dedenne on 110. And Pedro
also mentioned that Pedro has a Dedenne of his own in his bench, so that's something he needs to be mindful of.
Yep, but the Dedenne is certainly much further away from getting knocked out than Bert's. And so...
Indeed.
Yeah, but Pedro 3 prizes behind, quite a lot. At least now he found himself a Metal Saucer, so he can probably go for a full Metal Wall finally. Double Metal Saucer even.
Exactly, look at that massive Lucario Metal. It'd be hard for Bert to take down. I don't think he can one-shot in any way. Definitely can't. And he just needs to be grinded down by this Shrine of Punishment and eventually getting attacked by the station. This is looking to be a longer game than at the beginning we hypothesized it to be.
Yep, but Pedro now Okay, going for a full metal wall, putting on some pressure.
And Bert's hand is very juicy, but at the same time, it's these resources that he doesn't want really to use because he has just that Professor Research. He has 2 metal saucers, 1 energy, and a custom catcher, so he can save one of these cards with the Primate Wisdom. However, these are very important cards, especially just after getting the full metal walled.
Yep. So yeah, he will have to discard. He will basically have to let at least one metal saucer go to waste because he doesn't have any useful
Decides
target.
to save it. I like this play. I think the custom catchers have kind of lost its usefulness for now.
Interesting that he doesn't opt to use the metal saucer. I would have assumed that he just uses the 1 metal saucer he had left in his hand on Visation, so he can manually retreat it after attacking with it, as he's already used quite a few of his switching cards.
Indeed. He does have 3 energies for sure in the discard. So probably, he drew 2 metal saucers off the Professor Research, so that is pretty good for him. He's able to set up the otherization again.
Yep.
So from now on, Bert needs to probably. There's no point into not attacking this Lucario Melmetal, considering you have 3 prizes and you still have a great catcher in the deck. So probably going for this Lucario Melmetal is your shortest way to win. There's a Tails from a Super Scoop Up. This is the card that might change this matchup.
Yeah, Pedro certainly needs to heal his Melcario, as Bert only has 3 prizes left and still has plenty of attackers to get it knocked out. To knock it out.
So he also fins up his deck with that quick ball, grabbing at Zacian. And now he's using Jirachi Acceleration. Let's see what he grabs. And I didn't see what he grabbed. Might see it now.
Ooh, and
it's a custom catcher for free.
Has to use
another Super Scoop Up. And it's a heads! That's so important for him right now. There's the broken heart emoji. And do you think he should bench again this Lucario Melmetal, or he should just go with the Zacians for now?
Yeah, for now, just focus on the Zacians. There's still the Shrine of Punishment, which is damaging Bert's Dedenne, and which would also chip away of Pedro's Melcario, so just wants to keep it. He can use it later on as an attacker.
Yes, indeed. It's also very massive once you have, if for example Bert depletes all of his Gusting resources, then this might be the way in which Pedro just tanks all of the damage. But we see 2 custom catchers right now into Bert's hand.
Yep, but this will probably be the last of Bert's Gusting. He already used, I guess he has 1 Pokemon catcher left if he opts to use those custom catchers.
So he does play 2 Pokemon catchers, so he has 1 left, unless it's in the prizes. But yes, this is his last Gusting effect. There's a custom catcher, let's see what it brings up. He goes for Jirachi, so I think he just decided, well, I think that the Dedenne will just be knocked out by Shrine damage, and this Pedro does play 1 Chaotic Swell. I don't know if he discarded it yet, but this might be his out, not being knocked out by the Shrine of Punishment.
Yeah, and Bert also does play the Duskmane Necrozma, so he can still snipe the Dedenne if he gets the Duskmane eventually.
Oh yes, well, but Bert does not play the.
Oh no, he doesn't. Yeah, true.
He does play instead 1 copy of Absol to have that extra disruption against the Jirachi deck, which I prefer. I think Duskmane Necrozma is a very interesting card. But it would prefer to have the Absol overall, because Jirachi is such a dominant card in the format.
Yep, makes sense for sure. And now the Dedenne getting knocked out by Shrine. Finally.
Indeed. Finally drawing his first 2 prizes, but Bert right now has a pretty dead hand.
Yeah, for sure. Not much he can do with that. Now probably has to retreat his Zacian.
He can't attack with it, so he's pretty much forced to retreat. And as you see, as the game progresses, the energies of Bert keep depleting. And right now, I think he is forced to do a resource management. might be he's out to, for example, just catching up this Dene
Yeah,
and eventually winning the game.
Yeah, so if Pedro's able to find a super scoop up, to find another super scoop up heads to get rid of that Dene, that would be great. I believe Pedro has one super scoop up left in his deck.
Indeed. That could be massive, as you're rightfully saying, and he does get back that Dene. I really like this. He has the quick ball to tutor it next turn, and even a great catcher to just have the 100% chances to grab the Dene if it stays there. So I think, yes, as you said, Pedro needs to find this super scoop up.
Yeah, he also still has his reset stamp, I believe, so he can also still stamp Bert to maybe disrupt him, but it might not be the best play since he knows that Bert hasn't done much in his last couple of turns.
Indeed. He probably understood by seeing the Dene being put back in the deck that Bert does have a quick ball into his hand, but obviously reshuffling that quick ball means and letting Bert draw 2 new cards might mean that he draws back into the quick ball or even into the Dene. One way in which he could win is by having Bert draw the Dene and the actually no, because he does have also private wisdom, so Bert is very resourceful for the moment.
Yeah, and like interesting thing to notice that there are 2 Zacian with 200 damage on Bert's board, and he in the early game he got the catcher heads to take a knockout on the Galarian Berserker. So if that heads would have been a tails, that could have been a huge difference,
Indeed.
and it could have already been game at this point, if not for that catcher heads.
Ooh, there's the Professor Research. That's Pedro. There's the Super Scoop Up. Is it heads? It's tails.
It's a tails.
No. That is so sad for Pedro. Pobrecito.
So now all his scoop ups are gone.
Just goes for the Brave Blade. Wow. This was so close for Pedro, but the game is not over yet. Obviously, that the Dene, after both players will pass, will be to 150 damage. So still alive. But there we go. There's even the energy right now for Bert in hand. Do you think he should go for it? Just grab the Dene and hope to draw the cards?
For sure. There's no real drawback in putting down the Dene.
He needs the switch. He needs the Great Catcher. And he needs, actually that's it. He just needs those 2 cards, and with Jirachi plus the Dene, plus an eventual supporter, this might signify Bert's victory. Let's see, they also place the stamp, reduce Pedro's options. And there's the data change. Draw 6 cards. Is it there? None of the cards are there, but he does have the Professor Research.
Oh, but yeah, he has the research for everything. He can just draw his entire deck.
So there it is. Great catcher into switch. Props to Bert. Very well played from inside, but very well played from Pedro. He really faced this match head on, and he was able to almost overcome it. Just a bit of variance in the end was not on his side.
Yeah, when both players play flipping cards, it's not unusual that it comes down to those. If Bert hadn't flipped heads on his early catcher, the game would have probably gone to Pedro because he would have been able to one-shot Bert's stations. And if Pedro had flipped more heads on his super scoop-ups, he could have maybe recovered the Dene. But Bert could have also gone for something like a Lysander Lab, since Pedro didn't find his chaotic swirl.
I think it's really interesting that variance has become such an important component of the current meta. You know, people play Pokemon catchers, but we see here also being the Super Scoop Ups being played. Why do you think these flip cards that were considered bad up until the previous meta became so popular?
I mean, with tag teams, we see really consistent decks, really powerful decks that are also very tanky. So when both decks are really powerful and consistent, you always have those close games. And I guess flipping cards just are big difference makers. Flipping one heads can make... I mean, we just saw it here, like the catcher from Bert and in the end the scoop up from Pedro, both flipping cards that were able to shift the tides of the game and were able to decide it. So maybe those are just the cards you need to put yourself at a bit ahead and to get the slight advantage you need to win such a close matchup.
Indeed, and when such experienced players are playing together, it really is variance that decides who wins against these 2 players. And so when you have the flip card that goes into your favor, you're basically just having that extra step that will eventually make you win.
Yeah, but we also saw a great play from both players. Pedro utilizing Bert's Shrine of Punishments to take a knockout on the Didene and to prepare the board. And he almost made it possible. His scoop ups almost gave him a comeback, even though he got a pretty bad start compared to what Bert had. And Bert of course went pretty far ahead. And Pedro came close to, kind of nullifying that, but couldn't quite get there. And Bert, of course, knowing exactly which cards he needed and using his resource management correctly to get himself the winning position. So well played from both players, certainly a very interesting game. I hope to see more of both of them. Hopefully they can...
Indeed.
Yeah, they both have the same score now, so if they win out, they can still make top cut. So I'm crossing my fingers for them, and I hope you guys enjoyed this round as well. We will go to a short break, but this game took quite a while, so the next round should come up very shortly.
Obviento.
Today